Hello everyone, welcome back to Top Tips. In today's video, we'll be talking about the best cities to raise a black family. When I put together these cities, I thought about a lot of things besides how many black people there are. No disrespect to Atlanta, Charlotte, and DC, but if we're talking about raising a black family, these places are not only way too expensive, but they also got crime problems and other issues. In each city I've listed, blacks make up at least 10% of the population, which is close to the same percentage in the US. If you're raising children, as a parent, you want the city you live in to have good schools. It's also very important that it has low cost of living, job opportunities, and a low crime rate. It took a lot of digging to find a city like that. It's sad to say that a lot of the affordable places aren't that safe, and a lot of the safe places are expensive. But some cities manage to find a balance of safety, affordability, and good schools. No one place I picked is perfect, but any of these places would be a great place to raise a black family. So with all of that said, here are the top cities for black families. Number 10. Farmington, Michigan. If you're like my wife and hate the cold, you should probably skip this one. But beyond that, Farmington's not a bad place. It's a part of the Detroit metro area, which I get Detroit's had a bad rap, but it has improved in recent years. It's just a 30-minute drive to downtown Detroit. If you're more of a nature person, Farmington has a few nature parks in the area too. While cost of living is about on par with the US average, the unemployment rate and median home value are below the US average. That means there's a good amount of job opportunities and affordable homes. Crime is also extremely low, and the most recent data I found showed that the schools had an average test score that's 21% higher than the national average. So definitely check this place out if you're looking to head north. Number 9. Hoover, Alabama. Just a few miles outside of Birmingham is the growing suburb of Hoover, Alabama. It's known for having a lot of golf courses. It also has a beautiful large mall called the Riverchase Galleria. The town is pretty big on nature, with waterfalls, gardens, and lake parks. Housing prices are a bit high, but the cost of living is about 9% less than the US average. There's not much unemployment either. If you work in education or healthcare, you probably won't have too hard of a time finding a job. The crime in the area is also 25% less than the national average, and the average test score of the schools was 21% above the national average. With 19% of the population being black, you won't be alone in this city. Number 8. Tavares, Florida. With Disney World and Universal Studios not too far, your kids will probably want to move here tomorrow. Tavares, Florida is a city that's about an hour north of Orlando. It's probably one of the smallest towns on this list, which I know usually means there aren't a lot of black people, but rest assured, 13% of the population is black. A lot of retirees also live in the area, so it's a good place to stick around once all the kids are grown up. If you like fishing, then this is definitely the place for you, because the town is basically surrounded by lakes. You and your family can enjoy all the water activities you want. Tavares is probably one of the most affordable places on this list, with cost of living, unemployment, and median home value all well below the national average. Crime is also 29% below the national average, and average test scores are 6% above the national average. Number 7. Malden, South Carolina. I've been to Malden a good number of times, and all in all, it's a pretty nice quiet town. There's hardly any stories of crime in the area compared to other nearby towns. Crime is about 26% less than the national average. The city is a few minutes from downtown Greenville, which has been previously recognized as one of the top downtowns in the country. Malden is slowly building up its own downtown, so you can expect there will be more to do in the area in the coming years. The schools are pretty good, with average test scores being 26% higher than the national average. Cost of living, median home value, and unemployment are all slightly below the national average as well. Black population in Malden is about 23%. Number 6. Madison, Alabama. Never imagined I'd put a city in Alabama on this list twice. Madison, Alabama is a city near the northern border of the state. It's not far from Huntsville, which has the space station, so a good place to be if your kid dreams of being an astronaut. More tech jobs have been coming to Madison, making it a great area to live if you're interested in the tech industry. Madison also has some of the best schools in the country, with test scores averaging 42% higher than the national average. Houses and cost of living are a little bit pricier than other cities on this list. A decent house will probably cost you around $200 to $300 grand, But crime is 45% less than the national average, and unemployment is 25% less. Number 5. Hernando, Mississippi. Mississippi isn't a state that most people think of moving to, but Hernando, Mississippi is one of the few cities that might make you reconsider. It's a city in the northern border of the state, not far from Memphis, Tennessee. The cities are so close, it's actually where many residents commute to work, which probably explains why Hernando's unemployment rate is 42% less than the national average. One resident described Hernando as one of those cities you don't have to worry much about letting your kids play outside without much supervision. Kind of takes you back to the days where you'd be out until the street lights came back on. The city is one of the safest ones on this list, with the crime rate 54% less than the national average. The schools are good too, with test scores being 16% higher than the national average. While there isn't a whole lot to do in the town, you can always take a short drive to Memphis for more activities. Number 4. Pearland, Texas. Just 30 minutes southeast of Houston is Pearland. One of the reasons I put this town so high up is because it had the best test scores of all the cities on this list. The test scores of Pearland were 73% higher than the national average. 91% of students graduate high school, which is 10% above the U.S. average. Basically, your kid has a pretty good chance of doing well here. The city is great for families that are more outdoorsy. It has a park, a lake, and many walking trails. While median home prices and cost of living were slightly above average, unemployment and crime rates were well below the U.S. average. Residents appreciate the diversity of the area and the family atmosphere. The percentage of blacks in Pearland is about 18%. Number 3. Holly Springs, North Carolina. Holly Springs, North Carolina is about 25 minutes outside of Raleigh. It's considered one of the safest cities in North Carolina with a crime rate 71% less than the national average. The schools are among the best, average test score is 64% higher than the national average. Residents view the area as a family-friendly place with numerous shopping areas and restaurants. It's seen as a growing town with more houses, stores, and other amenities being built in the town. About 11% of the population is black. The median home value and cost of living is higher than most cities on this list, but if you can afford it, this would be a great place to raise your family. Number 2. Collierville, Tennessee. Collierville, Tennessee is located 35 minutes outside of Memphis. For anyone that lives there, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this name right. Feel free to spell out the pronunciation in the comments. Anyway, Collierville has a lot to offer. Great schools, job opportunities, and more houses being built. There's also a town square where people play live music during the summer. Residents say it's far enough from Memphis to where it's separated from the crime issues there. The crime rate in Collierville is 37% below the national average. It'll cost you a good amount to own a home here. Most houses I've seen listed were around $300 to $400 grand. Cost of living isn't that cheap either. Unfortunately, that's the cost of wanting to live in a good community sometimes. The average test scores for the schools in the area are 58% higher than the national average, and the black population makes up about 14% of the city. The people in the area are generally described as kind and welcoming. Before we get to the number 1 city, here are some of the runner-up cities that didn't make the top 10. And number 1, Pflugerville, Texas. Pflugerville, Texas is a city that's just 30 minutes outside of Austin. It's named after a German immigrant, Henry Pfluger, who left his home to flee the Prussian War in 1849. Living here allows you to avoid all the busy traffic closer to the downtown Austin area. A lot of Austin black residents have migrated here due to the rising cost of living in Austin. About 16% of the population in Pflugerville is black. The city also boasts a crime rate that's 45% less than the national average and an unemployment rate that's 29% less than the national average. More schools, shopping areas, and houses are being built because so many people are moving there. I think black families would be lucky to be able to call Pflugerville home. I hope you enjoyed this list. Feel free to let me know which city you like the most, or any suggestions of other cities you think would be a good place to raise a black family. Please subscribe to this channel for future videos that you might find helpful. Thanks for watching. This is Top Tips, tipping you off.